let's talk about PUBG and Fortnite. The new map is kind of sort of out for PUBG, right? It's codenamed Savage, and that codename's important because everything's a work in progress with this map. And the big hook, right, is that it's Southeast Asia and it's a smaller map overall. Leo and I have played a little bit. We have a new gameplay today showing the map off. And the easy shorthand that everyone's going for is, okay, PUBG trying to compete with Fortnite again. Here we go.
A reaction. Isn't that crazy? Like, they started it all. Right? They kind of started it all. And then Fortnite came along and everybody's like, oh, they're just copying them. But they didn't really. Fortnite had a slightly different approach to it where crafting or the being able to build and all that stuff is a different game. But the intimacy of it is something that PUBG didn't have.
And knowing that it's a reaction is interesting because when we first started talking to them about PUBG and the roadmap of the future, Brendan Green gave an interview with Dan Tack, and I think even on this podcast we had Brendan Green on. He was talking about the future maps, and they talked about the desert map, which at that time they said was 4x4 instead of like normal 8x8, which is the base map. And then he said the second map that they're working on was one that is off the Adriatic Sea that has like tall trees and snowy mountains and stuff. So at some point they pivoted and said, we need to focus on a small map again. And it's who knows how that timeline works out if they started to see the trend curving upwards for Fortnite and realize like people want faster action, people want quicker action. Let's make something smaller, self-contained, more green, damn it. That's what Fortnite's getting right.
That's all people like about it.
But it is crazy seeing this map and the fact that they released it on the test servers so incredibly early, like literally gray box. I think it's awesome they would be so transparent and so raw out there where a lot of these situations, like you're seeing a thing called a swamp temple or like a abandoned resort. And it's like, oh, that's going to look sweet. I want to go check that out. And then it's just gray box. It's awesome.
It's cool because, like, I mean, their roots are in like early access, right? I mean, so it seems it's smart, I think, to continue to let people in early, so to speak, and like give people a look at that version of the game.
Right, but if all the feedback's just put some stuff in these houses. Yeah, we got that part. We got that part.
I mean, there's such a difference between how Epic and they work, right?
Yeah.
Like Epic is all about, they made AAA games, polish. A lot of the stuff that comes out in Fortnite is very polished, whereas you have the exact opposite on the other end. I think it's great that they are letting people play around in it, but at the same time, when these games are kind of going head to head, I don't know if that's the best approach.
I think it works out. I think it drums up some enthusiasm amongst the base again, although I went in and was playing it and it's terrible in, the 100-player starting area. It just seemed like a chat room to talk about how Fortnite was better. Like, it was bizarre. Multiple rounds. That's just big herds of people are just talking about like, oh, this looks like a PS2 game. This sucks. Let's go play Fortnite. It's like, I don't know if they're just trolling the PUBG hardcore crowd.
No, that's what I mean. Like, maybe a finished product would be a better approach. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, still,
a good word of advice for any game. I mean, to be fair,
just saying.
Yeah, it's an easy story to be like, oh, Fortnite ate their lunch, but they still have 1.4 million concurrent players on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
They're still just annihilating on almost every front, financially and everything like that. Leo, have you enjoyed the map? What you've seen so far?
Yeah, it seems pretty cool. I've definitely fallen off that game to the point where I don't know if any map would like bring me back.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that just because Rainbow Six has taken and eaten your lunch?
Yeah, it's eaten my lunch.
You.
Yeah. I don't know. I very much have just like I had a lot of fun with Battle Royale as a concept, and I'm kind of ready to move on.
Even like Fortnite isn't appealing for you at this point?
Not really. It is interesting how the conversation is now Fortnite, though. Like Fortnite, I made that video right when it came out about the Battle Royale mode came out. Which is like, oh yeah, it's got some cute things going for it, but overall, I still prefer Battlegrounds.
Good effort, guys.
Yeah,
well, that was everybody's reaction. When we talked about the podcast, that was definitely the reaction. Then it just gets to this point where you just, feel the ground vibrating. It's like, okay, Fortnite is reaching mass hysteria levels.
When
My
people
Lyft driver is telling me about it.
Yeah.
It's when people learned like exactly what you could do in building in that competitive space and how quickly you could build towers and just protective shells.
Well, Save the World didn't take off.
Well, no, but this is a completely different thing. In the competitive space, those mechanics change it completely. Like it is a whole new competitive type of experience.
I think free and visuals definitely get people in the door.
It feels good. Also, being on consoles in a stable way.
Yeah, and then that keeps them around, I think. It's like, oh, there's more to this.
Also, good name. Fortnite. That's all people call it. Fortnite. Not PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the game by Brendan.
Battle Royale mode, not the other mode at the start of the thing.
And then in the office, we're like, are we okay just calling it PUBG in the context of stories now? Or are we still writing out the whole word? And it's like, I don't know.
I think we go PUBG. You just got to go PUBG at this point. But I mean, talking about like, Epic's workflow compared to Bluehole's and everything, it's also just crazy to think about Epic grinding that game out for what, 6 years? Since 2011 is when they officially started. Yeah, 7 years of just knowing that workflow, knowing how to integrate new items, new objects, everything like that. Like they know those tools backwards and forwards, and now they're in a point where it's just like, all right, all hands on deck. Let's make new Fortnite content. You can't stop that train. It's just absurd.
And what you're seeing now is just the beginning of it, right? Like, they built that mode pretty quickly. But they have probably some long tails where they're going to have like a year of development for something, or maybe 2 years of something crazy.
Well, speaking of long tails, let's talk about the comet in the sky, ladies and gentlemen. So,
wait. Who is this character? Who is this guy?
I don't know, but I hate
Scientist Ben Hansen.
We got to get the comet in the sky we're going to talk about.
And fun fact, tails of comets aren't actually trailing the comet. They're actually facing away from the sun.
Wait, I thought you were a broadcaster. Now you're just a nerd?
But it is crazy. Around last week or so, players would look up in the sky in Fortnite and they see a real J.J. Abrams mystery box where there's a comet in the sky and people are wondering what the hell's going on. Combined with, hey, our controllers are vibrating at random moments, and Epic's like, that's a bug. I don't know if I'm a conspiracy theorist. I bet there's some secret coding nonsense going on with
some
that
artists
game.
Finished the skybox finally, and people are just losing their minds.
Well, what do you guys think it is? Like, there's theories that it's going to come in and just obliterate the towers, or it's going to hit and introduce a new sci-fi themed map or something.
It's aliens, and then they come out of the ground, and then it's the save the world mode. That's all you can do.
Every time you come to Battle Royale, it's also just save the world. Yep. Gotcha, fuckers.
Please play this mode. This one's good too.
It's a weird world, man.
It does seem. I mean, the sort of simple answer is it does seem like it's just a tease for new content, right?
Yeah.
I mean, new map or something.
It's an
like
effective
that.
tease to have that constantly in the sky, like Final Fantasy VII, just teasing you of when it's actually going to hit.
That's a cool idea.
Even if there's nothing to it, if it was just a nice little artistic touch, they will probably turn that into something now.
Now that
the community's going bonkers over it,
just a full comet costume that you can run around the battlefield with.
They might do something fun with it. I don't know.
You can fly now.
If I was the developer and I started to see this, I'd be like, let's put this into our next plans. Let's do something fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a crazy story. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.